We're good. It's on.
Okay,
All right.
so we're live for yet again another meeting for our obesity, which I think I might have actually named wrong because I named it for my other group. So I'll change that before I submit it so it's not confusing. I was just thinking that. I was like, wait a minute, that's the wrong group.
Wrong course.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time keeping the two. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Um, all right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload um, that PowerPoint to a Google document so that we can all edit it and look at it and follow along if we want to. But first, I have to save it. Um,
So when we do like the individual, like the introduction or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
do we use what we really are, or is this one of those made up?
I'm just going with what I am.
Okay.
Yeah, on the Google document, that's what I did. Was I
Yeah.
just put,
I saw Cynthia's. It puts us all to shame.
I just been at it a minute or two longer.
Okay. I just wasn't sure because in some of the other classes, like you have to play a role in the DRHA hospital.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure so that if everybody was going to be themselves, I wasn't making up some.
We could if we wanted to.
Right.
Well, it really doesn't matter to me. I just wasn't sure if there was a criteria I was missing.
I didn't see that.
Okay.
And I think it's better for us to just be who we are.
Yeah. I think if we need to do it that way, everybody say what we are, what your actual job is,
Right.
and then we can say that we're all part of like the health promotion UBCL or something like that. As
Right.
how we're all. Because do you really need two ECMO people doing
Probably not. But
doing obesity?
the beauty of it is that you can at least say that we, in which I've updated mine to say that you are a healthcare advocate for populations across the healthcare or the lifespan continuum.
Mm-hmm.
So, although that doesn't help with our specific population, but
Maybe it could just be this is the job that you have, but that is your passion is obesity.
Right. Or health promotion. I think keeping it health promotion.
Your passion, you just happen to have this job, so you went with it.
That's right.
all right. Okay, so I've posted it now, and I've now shared it with you all, so you'll get an email that gives you a link to it.
Okay.
So maybe we should just kind of hash out what our goal is for this meeting.
Okay, absolutely. And I don't, personally, I don't think our goal is to finish this thing because this is to kind of get an idea. In my mind, it's to get an idea of what we're trying to touch on everything, and then probably have to divvy up tasks of who will be responsible for what parts. But
So I know I logged on a minute or two later than everyone. So what are we asking to fund? I mean, what's our activity or what's our promotion?
our intervention,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think we have one yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that may be the thing we try to do
Yeah.
today.
Right.
Is at least get some brainstorming ideas of what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
So we are obesity and the middle age.
Right.
So something.
And based on the scenario, it was the population that was most affected seemed to be Latino women and, if I'm remembering this right, African American and Latino women and people with some college education. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
I honestly don't recall a specific
Yeah.
race.
Yeah, I don't either. I just thought there was an age range.
Yeah.
Well, I think that there was a little brief that Matt read, and he talked about it, so I think I went and found it, but I didn't see it initially.
No, I remember. I think I do remember them mentioning races, but
Yeah, I don't remember that. But I do know that a couple of ideas that I thought of were, because remember, just a tiny bit of money, um, like the DRHA complex is kind of big, and I'm guessing that it sits near a residential area or within an area where people live nearby.
mm-hmm.
It could be like a walking trail in the facility, and then there could be an email alert or email messages that give a healthcare message every week, and people could log on and they could actually walk the trail. And how you would track them would be where they would let their physician know what their weight is on a particular Monday or day of the week, and then the physician would assist them by doing, say, their A1C if it were elevated.
Mm-hmm.
Then granted, you can't do that but every 3 to 6 months because it takes that long to change it. But
Right.
those two ideas that I had, one was the walking trail and the email type program, because a lot of people do. But if it's a lot of Latinos, we tend to think of them as low to mid-income. But then my husband was saying, well, Cynthia, everybody has a phone, so that phone app, even if they don't have internet access, most of them do. Most people, not just Latinos,
And
most people have a cell phone.
I'm pretty confident we can find. I've stumbled upon it about 15 times. This article about a text message-based intervention for weight control.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure we can use that. I think you're right, Cynthia. Everybody's got a phone, no matter what level of socioeconomic status. It's just what everybody's got anymore. But I mean, we do have to acknowledge that regardless, in poverty and lower income, we have to expect that they don't. So how would we reach them as well? Mm-hmm. One of my thoughts too. I think those are great ideas, Cynthia. My thought is with $10,000 and the fact that we only have it for 1 year, we should try to do everything up front, like building something. If we have to use it to build something with capital, you get it out of the way so it can prolong or be continued after we don't get funding the second year. Mm-hmm. So the walking trail type thing,
right.
That's a good idea.
I like that.
I just put up on the screen the scenario.
I see your...
Okay. So it mentions 31% of adults, children, teenagers, and then it says 50% of all non-Hispanic black women and 11 to 21% of Hispanic. So I don't know what exactly we are focusing on, or if we're focusing on, or maybe that's the point, is that we have to do adults, but then also recognize that 50% or a large portion of our population is non-Hispanic black women, and another large percent is Hispanic.
Yeah. So I think you can look at that in a couple of different ways based on the size of the project that we're going to do. Mm-hmm. Because I think you're right. And Cynthia, I actually really like your ideas about the walking trail, because the expenditure part of that is, even if it's not an actual walking trail that's there, you do like a Google map almost of, here's how you walk around the campus, and it's a 5K or something like that. And
right, yeah. And we would just have markers, and we could have little education stations.
Beautiful. That's exactly what I was just
thinking. Hey, look at you guys.
Health check-ins along the way or something like that.
Right.
Have you guys ever seen, I mean, on one of the bike trails or walking trails that are near my house, they have like at the little stations, you know, that tells you, you know, it's this far or, you know, whatever. But there's also like you can do like exercises or like can stop and do push-ups, or there's like just a small little equipment that allows you to just do like, you know, a quick thing, and then at the next one it's something else. And
Right. Yeah, I've seen those.
yeah,
It's like a calisthenics station.
right, you know, so it could be, I mean, something simple, cheap, you know, it doesn't have to be this big gym setup at each one, but that might be something to add that people can kind of work up toward. You know, maybe they start walking, but then, you know, they start using that every other station. Or
Right. No, I like that. I think this is good. I really like that concept of incorporating the campus, because then you're sort of keeping them in the family, as it were. I guess, you know, the other thing that I came across in the bibliography stuff, or the articles that I was picking for those, was, and I think you've touched on it a little bit with the technology base, but some, particularly for women, it seems like some sort of support mechanism is what was lacking. I know I think we used that in our summary about, it's less about, people generally understand that eating better and moving around is good for them, but they don't have any motivation because there's no social activity or no support system to do it. So if there's a way to incorporate that some way, whether it's through some sort of technology piece, like you're saying, or
right, yeah, they need like a walking buddy or partner.
Well, and I think too, like if we do a walking trail, and it's not something like a gym that you have to have a membership to, we can encourage, like, hey, you can bring your family too, since it's like a,
absolutely encourage that.
Area.
Maybe even hold little events to have family members join in. What about like a weekly podcast, or that can be sent to them and they can listen to it in an MP3 format while they walk? I don't know. I'm just
I think trying to get anything that's a sort of a hook to get them to go and do it. Like you have to go to the station one. You have to start at station 1 on Thursday, and it's like a serial podcast.
Right.
That you have to go and start, like an RFID tag or something like that, almost, or like a scavenger hunt type thing that they have to. You have to walk. Do you think we could
incorporate, like in the beginning? Sorry, in the beginning, like we could incorporate where maybe we would have. I guess it doesn't even have to be like a personal trainer, but somebody who, for the first however many times, like goes through that with them. So that they can kind of see, okay, this is what you would expect at each station, and maybe help them like attain some goals, so that they would get like 3 sessions with this person, 3 walks with this person, and then they can continue to grow off of that. But then they have like some sort of a like an obligation, like someone is meeting them.
Yeah, I think that's great, and since we're the UBCL for the Obesity Prevention Task Force, that it's probably falls to us. And the other thing you can think about is almost turn it into like walking groups, and almost like tonight is this subset of the population. Not that it's not exclusive, but this crew is the crew that walks on Tuesday nights, or does the loop on Tuesday.
Right, and maybe we could have like different. I mean, I know at least in my community, there's been a lot of different, like the color run, and we've had like the red moon walk. There's been like all these different things that they've used, but like maybe we could have, the moonlight walk is every Tuesday, or
right.
so
or
that
yeah,
it's when it's dark, but it's a group of people, so it's not scary.
Right, the full moon.
Well, they had one of the bullets says, how do you plan to sustain it? And I was thinking that if we mailed out letters or recruited from, say, the American Heart Association, if about heart disease, be sure to walk on this Tuesday and Thursday, as we have volunteers from this organization set up at different stations. Walk up, ask your question.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And then the same thing maybe for American Diabetes Month. They would be the supporters on our trail. And then Breast Cancer Month, they would be the people on the trail. And that would be one way to get education out. And they just ask them.
Yeah.
And we could even say we're going to incorporate other departments of DRHA, like on Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Like, we're going to also ask the oncology unit, if they would be willing to volunteer some extra time from this time to this time, along with those organizations. That way, DRHA's kind of got a little bit of a stand in it.
Right, because it does say, what is DRHA, what resources can we use of theirs? So let's say that DRHA has a clinical ladder program, and for education or community service, this could be one of their things to hit that bullet for their portfolio that year.
And it would be free because, it's from DRHA, so basically it would just be like the units being told this is what you're going to do, so it's not like we have to worry about paying somebody. It's the voluntold how you do that. So
voluntold.
Yeah. I mean, we have things at my hospital that it's like all the directors have to serve us a special lunch like once every so many months, and it's something that they all hate to do, but they don't have a choice. So they
Oh, directors.
Right.
DRHA, they're all going to be mumbling about they have to do the moonlight walk that month.
Yeah, it'd be like that dang obesity group. But at least that way it would be something, because if we did those nonprofit organizations too, they're always doing volunteer stuff, so that would all be free, and we wouldn't have to worry about that with the budget.
Right.
Yeah.
And what would be some of our intervention objectives? I mean, we mentioned monitoring weight, monitoring A1C, but would it be the frequency that they walk? Would it be the weight loss? What would be the marker so that we can track it? Because that's one of the bullets.
Right. Well, I'm thinking, clearly weight loss is a big one, but that is like a metric. That would be how we can evaluate a number. And then of course, you were talking about A1C. That I like that idea. But we need to even have, maybe we come up with an evaluation tool where we just basically getting their own impression, because I think a valid thing to consider is how they feel. And do they report feeling better, having more energy, feeling more confident in their ability to choose nutritionally sound foods?
So, and I think quantitatively, if we do this app idea, somehow tracking or even equating, all the qualitative and other quantitative measures that are important for obesity. Remember, this is, part of this thing is because everybody starts thinking like, yeah, this is a great idea. It's like $10,000, and we only have 15 minutes to describe what we're doing.
Correct.
So do you guys think, one thing I know, like I have been on like the Weight Watchers app before, and they have you can do that 100% online, or you can go to the meetings. So what it is that you have to go in and you can put your activity in every day, and it gives you 100 different options. Were you walking? Were you pushing a stroller? Were you jogging? Whatever. And it kind of calculates based on your weight how many calories you've burned.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what all that would entail, if that's something that's very expensive, but, you know, like they have to put in their weight. It, you know, prompts you to do it once a week.
Yeah.
They have to put in their activity, and it also makes them, you know, put in, like, servings of fruits and vegetables, water that they drink. And so that kind of is all tracked, but basically the big thing they're tracking is the weight. But the other stuff is for the individual.
Well, maybe we think about it like this with the app and like the signposts that we have. You know, there's some that are closer together, and then there's like you can do the whole loop in like a series of codes that you have to put into your phone. So you start at place A and you enter your weight, and then if you walk to place B, there's a phrase that's there that you put into your phone, and if that's all the activity you want to do, that's fine. But if you want to do the whole thing, like you have to go and see each place and put in the code for each one, and then it's tracking your weight associated with that day's activity. So you can see it, and then like your provider can see it as well. Like you bring it to your next appointment.
So that you also have some. I mean, you can't just put it in there. Like, yes, I did it. You have to actually.
You actually have to go and. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you could text somebody that already did it, and they could tell you, but.
Well, one thing you could do now. See, I like the idea. My mind's going in 5 different directions, but you can buy RFID tags that you put at these stations, that with their smartphone device they can go and touch that, and actually that would set it off. Have it programmed so that when they do that, it gives them a tick on this the chart, and shows that they actually did it, and gives them.
So are we going to do some sort of elimination, like, you know, in order to be in this program, you have to have a smartphone? I mean, obviously there's some people that we're just not going to be able to get.
Yeah.
And
you know, so I think we have some sort of a criteria, as long as it's not some insane criteria.
Is that something we want to do? Limit it to people who have a smartphone?
I think we have to. Or you have to put. We want to make it as accessible as possible, but again, it's not. We don't have infinite resources to do this with.
Right. So then we'd have to come up with a separate plan.
Say that everybody has to have a smartphone. I mean, given the demographics of this clinic, I don't think they're going to have a smartphone, a lot of them. I know I don't give them enough credit. However, smartphones are expensive.
Yeah.
And there ought to be some sort of color code, and maybe the color codes are changed. And that way you know, and they can text it without having a smartphone. But I think to limit the population, I mean,
well, I don't think that it necessarily needs to be a smartphone. It just needs to be, I mean, you can text from any phone.
Exactly.
Some of them are just easier.
Text or a code so that you could do either or. If you've got the technology, do this. If you don't have the technology, then text the secret words, whatever.
Exactly.
You can still participate.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
So basically, the criteria is you have to have a phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I really don't think there's people who don't. I mean,
you have to think most people have that.
Right.
I don't know. That could be just total ignorance on my part.
So I think most people can text.
Yeah. And certainly the people that we're going to be able to reach, that we're going to be able to actually entice into doing this, are going to most likely have a phone.
You know, and if they need a 5-minute tutorial on how to text, I think we could probably supply that.
Right.
We could just give them a buddy.
Call their, exactly. And then we're enhancing the social support network of the whole thing, so that they will feel obligated to do the walks.
Right.
What is our estimated cost? That's one of the bullets on there. Are we going to say we're spending the full $10,000 and divide up how it breaks down? I mean, the trail that's another DRHA resource. All we need is for the maintenance department to mark it off.
Right.
The distance. And
Right.
color code it with some paint or something, because we know those areas are hard surfaces. Because all those sorts of areas, commercial like that, have paved areas.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably come up with some estimates on that. I mean, although that's a thought about a paved path. I'm just trying to think of.
Yeah, I don't want to pave the path.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like the perimeter, if you went around the parking lot towards the clinic and came back, that's 3/10 of a mile. And there's a mark.
So it's just a matter of narrowing down where the path would be, not that it's not already there. It's just marking it.
Right.
With
Yeah, and I think that could be done. We could do that for free. You know, our little group could do with the little wheel and measure out, like, all right, so we're walking, here's the right of way, we're going to go, at the parking lot, you're going to turn right and you're going to go around the, I don't know, the cardiology clinic building.
Okay.
And then there's a sign and you've gone 500 yards or whatever like that. And
So
then,
basically,
and then a sign.
the signs.
Yeah, so you just do it like wayfinding. So you have, let's say that there's 5 sort of big checkpoints, and if you do the whole loop, it's 2 miles, and so you have 5 big signs, and along the way, either you're painting, you have them paint arrows on the walkway so people can find it, or you have them, smaller wayfinding signs throughout the campus.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, because we don't want it to be a safety issue.
Right. Yeah, and we don't want it to be, them wandering through,
Parking.
by the morgue. You don't want to go through there.
Have them walk by where the ambulance flies in.
Exactly. Right. You got to go around that one.
Around the helipad. Sorry.
The ending could probably be by the ER. That would be helpful.
They could just walk right in there with their chest.
Oh God. The obesity group got me to do too much exercise. Hypertensive crisis. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like the wayfinding in the map, I think the mapping of the actual course could be done for free or just our time.
Right.
And then it's signs, and then probably the big thing is the app developing. But I think that is relatively inexpensive anymore. I don't know. I certainly don't know how to do it, but
right.
Me either.
But assuming that we have an academic institution attached or nearby, I'm sure there's a computer science school that we could offer this as a project to build this app for us.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if we can use the IT department through the hospital.
Yeah.
Right. Are we?
Yeah, that's a good idea. IT ought to know how to do it.
There we go. We can default to that.
Right. Just be, like we are, what's the word I'm looking for? Not pass the buck, but having someone else.
We're utilizing available resources.
Right.
That's right.
Delegating. That's the word I'm looking for.
Delegating. Yep.
We're providing an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think that, depending on what the cost would be for the app, the signage and everything should be fairly cheap. I don't know if we could, obviously I think we should estimate high.
Yeah. Signs are crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Well, and especially if we want to have something where maybe the colors change so that it's not the same, so that, they're being held accountable.
You mean like
something that you can construct where you can slide something in or out certain color, and then that way it's reusable.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if we wanted to go crazy, the signs could have like a fob thing in them that puts like a like a random number generator that it changes every 6 or 8 minutes, like the old school way that you have to log into your computer.
Mm-hmm.
To it's like, all right, now you have to type in this 6-digit code. That makes the signs a lot more expensive, I realize, but it's an interesting idea. And then we don't have it's not like we're relying on a physical person to go and change the sign every day.
Right.
Or every.
So I think we probably just need to narrow down how much the app would cost, and then see what we would have left for how fancy we could get with our signs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the app is super cheap, then we could get super fancy.
Yeah.
True.
But again, like Matt said, I have no clue how much it costs to.
Mm-hmm. Well, this isn't a particularly. We're not asking the app to do a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's just a text function and a data storage that you can. On the app it says on September 29th you did this many stations or this this distance, and at the beginning your weight was X, or I don't know whether or not the weight, because we're not going to have a scale sitting out there for them to do. They can self-report what they have.
Or if they just put in how much they were to walk that week, but they have to physically go weigh in once every Monday.
Like how the Weight Watcher thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way they wouldn't have to worry about putting that in themselves. All they would have to do is track their exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if we could have on the app also, if we were talking about, this group is going to sponsor this month or whatever, so that they would be aware of when those activities were taking place on the trail.
Yeah.
Something that could just send them like a, we could have it simple as an email, or we could have it something added to the app where they get like an alert that says,
sure,
these are the activities for the month or the week or.
Yeah. Well, I think a cool way to think about that, because I actually liked how you were talking about like assigning Ankh or whatever to whatever kind of month it is, whatever body it is month. Is the way we talk about sustaining this maybe is marketing the app, selling the app to other places as a way to sustain it, and also like getting a grant to for research for Heart Association or the diabetes, one of those groups saying this is some innovative thing that we put together. What do you think about funding us for another 2 years or however long, so that we can gather some more data on how much of an impact this is having on this population?
You're turning this into the Shark Tank.
Isn't that what our degree says at the end?
Right.
MSN Shark Tank.
Shark Tank and innovative.
Yeah, well, you would be surprised how many, like when it says the month of February, it might be like 8 or 9 things associated with the month of February, and you read the list, and it's like, oh my God, it's really going to be quite a bit. I think you're right.
Well, and we could even make some of them be kind of silly. Like today is National Coffee Day. Like, there's National something day all the time. So even if we didn't want it all to be serious, we could incorporate something silly. Like you have to, you walking, everybody's wearing, 2 different socks or whatever.
So, I hate to bring it back to this, but how do we incorporate the trans theoretical model into this?
So, the way I have looked at this kind of arc of the class, or at least in the readings and the project that we worked on with the summary, is trans theoretical, I think, was great. And I think the assessment that we did was really good, because we all sort of had a similar experience with the people we were talking to. They're like, I know what this is about. I need some catalyst to get me to start doing it. It's like, you don't need to tell me that doing physical activity is good for me to lose weight, and it's good just globally for my health. But it's everything that all the articles that I have pulled up it's about some manner of support and check-in is what keeps people doing it.
Right.
So I think that's where we are. So we are right at the precipice of planning and action, as people sort of want to do it and they just don't know what to do. And I think offering them this is, here is what we've put together. We try to make it as easy as possible. It's a central location to here. The parking is free, which, don't all hospitals have free parking.
But the trans-theoretical model will be used more for the assessment and identification of people that are ready to join this intervention.
Right.
And
so we are trying.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was going to say we are trying to push them forward in the model to planning. We're doing a good enough job at getting them to contemplate and understand what they should be doing, and now we're trying to move them to, here's how we help you move towards action. We eliminate barriers to physical activity and give you some additional support or some incentive to do this, which we haven't talked about.
We can also
surprise at the end.
Right. Like if we also incorporate too, like I'm sure that we could have people at different stages join. Someone that's, let's say that they've been doing like a certain diet for so long and they lost some weight, but now they've hit a plateau. So, they're not, at the beginning stages, they've done something, but they need something else, so they want to join this so that they can further.
So we're focusing on maintenance and action and maintenance.
Right. Action, because they got to get started.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we're trying to move the ones that are in the planning phase from planning to action, and then providing. So, Leanne, that's actually a great point. So we were talking about Weight Watchers before. So somebody that comes to to an outpatient office and they say that they've been doing Weight Watchers for 6 months or something. We say, look, here's a great thing, and if you do the whole loop, just walking, it's this. We know that it's this many points.
Right.
And what do we do with the points at the end?
So that was
the points are just the Weight Watcher thing.
Well, but I mean,
using that as an example, like for the maintenance phase, if people are already trying, or in the action phase of they've started Weight Watchers, and
so they've got the diet down, but they don't have the physical activity down.
Right, and we say, well, we know based on the parameters of you person that if you do the whole walk, you earn X number of points by doing the whole walk, and they'll say, oh, well, that's easy. I know my way around here already.
Right.
So then I can do that, and I can know what my points are, and put it into my much more slickly designed Weight Watcher app.
Right. That we're going to market.
Each diet, that people do, whether it's Atkins or Weight Watchers or whatever, they've all kind of got their way that they track certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like those people, that's how they live their life.
Yeah.
Everything that they do, is incorporated back to Weight Watchers. If I did this, it's this many points, or if I eat that, it's this many points, or whether it's calories or carbs or whatever it is for the other diets. I think we could easily incorporate that just tailored to each person.
Mm-hmm.
That might be going a little bit too in depth, but it is maybe something that we can, if we're going to market it, maybe say this, maybe we can get, these, I don't know, like money or funding or something from these diet programs if we use their lingo.
Sure. Or sponsor the signs.
Right.
Signpost 3 is sponsored by whatever.
Oh, absolutely. We can get local businesses to
gyms.
Hopefully not like
Gyms.
Pizza Hut and Dunkin'
I was
Donuts.
gonna say we'll avoid like Krispy Kreme and things like that.
Boys barbecue. Yeah.
Although they've got all the money.
Right.
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
We could be like, this is your temptation.
Yeah.
Shark Tank again.
Well,
Right.
maybe Krispy Kreme can donate the coffee for their early morning walkers.
There you go.
We could partner with them, and they could provide like healthy breakfast.
Coffee Tuesday. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that Craig, I think that's actually a really good question in terms of that particular bullet point. But I think it's this whole project is just trying to remove the barriers between each of the phases.
Okay.
Particularly, I think the one between contemplation and or planning and action, I think is the one where we're going to get the biggest bang get the most people in that range.
Okay.
And I know that there's lots of articles out there that I've kind of come across where it says, like when people start to see success, that kind of gives them the extra push.
Right.
And so if we could maybe incorporate some of that into the maintenance, like we've moved them, into the contemplation, to the action, and now they're kind of in the maintenance phase.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, like, seeing these results, therefore they're wanting to continue because they know that it's successful.
Right. And you'll definitely...
I guess my question is, what do we do with those that aren't in the action or maintenance phase or the planning phase?
Again, that's a story for after we get more funding. I think that we're making a big impact for as much of the population as we can.
So we're dedicating this just to people that are ready, that we've identified with our assessments.
Mm-hmm. It's not like we should we should always talk about this as part of the generalized assessment, but we're putting this together to remove barriers from people who are like, yes, I understand that my sedentary lifestyle and terrible diet are not good for me.
Right. We do have to limit it somehow. Otherwise, we're going to spend all of our time and money trying to convince somebody to do it.
Correct.
Right.
Well, one simple thing for those folks, if our paths are color-coded, ERHA is willing, we could make certain parking lots. You know how parking lots are lettered like A, B, C, D, just so you can remember where your car is. Let's say you're not ready, you come to the clinic once a month or whatever check. We're going to ask that you park in the blue lot, which automatically gets you a little exercise. Just park in the blue lot when you come for your visit. And let's and just give it a try, so that there's something where we say something to that population that says, I want to do anything. But you might be able to force them into parking in a different lot that gets them extra.
I like that. That's a cool idea.
Because that way they're not left out, but then they might find out, hey, that wasn't so bad. So they always park in the blue lot, and then maybe a slight nudge in a month or two might get them to do something.
Well, and maybe they could even, if we had it set up for the activities being through email, those people, whether or not they're actually using the trails, still get the emails that these are the activities going on on the trail, so that they're not left out of the loop, but they're not obligated to come.
Right.
But something might spark their interest and say, oh, you know what, maybe that'll be fun. Maybe I'll try it this one time.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like a Facebook page too. So there's a sort of a community element to it.
The opportunity is there for them. Whether or not they take it is their choice. But we've given it to them.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like we've covered a lot of.
Yeah. Now it's just a matter of putting it together, and Craig said, we each maybe should just have to take a section.
Sure.
Otherwise, we have a lot of good ideas, but it's without kind of nailing it down.
Well, so that's why I think, while I agree with that, it sounds like we're all kind of bouncing a bunch of these ideas around, and I think that we all can feed off of each other as well. So, like putting it out there on this Google Drive, Google Slides thing, we can all kind of tweak it and add to it and put things in there. I mean, we probably should, just for the sake of simplicity, saying that, hey, I'll take this. But I think in the spirit of what we've always done here, we just kind of all play off of each other's strengths and help each other out.
Sure.
So
maybe we can say more of that each person will take a section to start it.
Right.
And then everybody else can put their, so that way it's a little bit divided, but everybody still, gets a part.
And it's probably better that way too, because when we have to present it, we'll at least be the content expert of our specific slides that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
And then this is due, the recorded version is due Sunday, not the 4th, the 11th. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
I let me verify that. I'm saying it, but I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Okay.
That's what I thought, but
I tried to make myself a calendar, but then I put too much in there. Now I can't read it.
There's too much on there, right?
Yeah.
So I had this discussion last night, and Leanne and Cynthia, I imagine you're probably feeling the same kind of pressure with the 660 classes. I don't know. Before Monday, I don't know how much more I can pile on to this week, especially something that's not required until the 11th at 3 a.m.
Yeah, it's due exactly. That's when it's due.
Okay.
So maybe if we make a goal to have it.
I think we should.
Not finalized, but at least be everybody's got some of their part in there, so that we can have some editing days. I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
If we can have it shelled out, maybe again, not polished, but shelled out for our next conversation on Tuesday. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, I think that should be okay.
Yeah. And then try to record sometime Thursday or Sunday or something. Doesn't.
Yeah.
So I guess, and we have to figure out how we can record, right?
Yeah, it's probably in here somewhere. They probably give you a
yeah, there's I think it's this class where there are PowerPoint suggestions, and there's a page for 5 or 6 things, including something called a power key or some sort of key. But it's in our resources file for this class.
Okay.
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 I didn't see
PowerPoint tips.
Yeah, that's it. Because where that is, there's 5 things.
Okay. Oh, and then there's Prezzies too, but seeing as we've got a PowerPoint already.
That actually, unfortunately, didn't. That was just sort of a generalized writing of PowerPoint presentations, not how to record correctly. So I'm sure there's a way. I'm sure there's a way to do it. That's not too hard.
Well, that's one of the things that I found overwhelming is there's so many things to click on and so many different links, and it's I feel like you got to dig to get to what you need to get.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm sure, like you said, it's in there. We just have to find it.
I wonder if requirements and instructions. I was looking at Module 6. I know she hasn't released anything on that, but I'm wondering if she'll have a recommendation. The other thing, too, is we could post on the the discussion board to ask if anybody, not even just the professors, but anybody else has any other ideas on what the best way to record it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the other thing we can do is when we're actually recording it is so that all of our faces are shown as part of the thing is we each just have, instead of it being one large presentation, it's actually, so Craig has slides, he talks and screen shares while he's talking, you introduce yourself, and then you do your two, and they say, I'm turning it over to Cynthia, and then she introduces herself, screen shares her two slides, and then moves it along, and then we can do it in this, we can do it in this format, which at least we have some experience with.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember what the name
Rather
of
than
that?
trying to reinvent the wheel again.
Right.
When I did my first module, I can't even remember what it's called, Canista or something, but I was able to be in the top right margin. And
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty. Actually, I have to be honest. My daughter found it for me. She's like, "Why don't you use that app?" I'm like, "What app?" But I will, when we log off, I'll see if I can find it. But yes, I'm in the corner talking, and then my slides or what I'm talking about is below. Do you remember?
It's Blackboard.
No, it's not. Well, it's like Blackboard, but
it's the thing we've used with this with the last class.
No, it was this class that I did.
Why am I totally blanking?
Oh, is it the Adobe product? There's an Adobe product that they used for one of the meetings where the professor was in the corner and she was flipping through.
Collaborate.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Blackboard. Collaborate. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we have to use, I think. Where the whole middle of the screen is the PowerPoint, and then the people talking.
Can we all
we all were, when the professor would talk, she would have her picture up in the corner, and she'd be there. But I think everybody has the ability to add in their video.
Oh, okay.
But they just, for those purposes, they shut it off so that we wouldn't be.
Remember, it began with
overlapping each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what?
Yeah.
Look at that. We figured out what we're going to have to use. If we can just figure out how to use it.
Okay, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Baby steps.
Right.
Okay.
So are we generally in agreement that you put this up on, you email it to us to do some editing and input in the various parts? Do we want to do any division of labor at all, or do we all just want to sort of pick at stuff? Or, I mean, I
think we should divide, because I don't want us to be like we were the other week, where it was like, we need to do 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that adds a little bit too much pressure.
Okay.
Is there anything that anybody, wants to do? I mean, any section that somebody feels more passionate about?
I don't have anything that is screaming out to me, so.
Me either.
I don't mind doing the describe bullet, that first section.
Describe the plan.
Describe the health promotion intervention to address the problem. Remember, this is a small project. Yes, I know, it's small. And I can take a crack at the financing too.
Okay. I'm trying to.
What's that?
I had numbered them, so it's like 5 in a row, and then the 5th one has 2 bullets, and then the last one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
7,
the last one's huge.
8.
The last one. So if you look at the slide presentation that I skeletoned out, I broke that last one up into probably 5 slides or 6 slides.
Okay.
Because it just makes sense that we're going to that's the meat of describe the intervention from every angle. Well,
I cannot find that link. I know you emailed it.
Well, the one that says DRHA resources and how you propose to sustain it, I'll certainly take those two because that kind of goes along with having different organizations and groups.
Here you go, man.
Yes.
Hang on. Let me get where I can see you. I'm on the wrong screen.
Do I have the right one up?
And my computer wants to have a mind of its own.
Let me make it bigger.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
So, we've already got, well, we've got to come up with a name for this thing. Like I said, I put mind over matter, but that was just kind of I was feeling silly and just picked something at first, but now with our new, our intervention more solidified, I'm thinking that mind over matter may not necessarily even apply, let alone be sensitive enough to our population.
Can we have it be something like walk to something?
Walk for life, or I don't know.
Or make a move or something like that.
We could have like walk it off, but then
That's what I was thinking. Walk it off.
I like walk it off.
Yeah, I like that too.
Okay.
No, okay. Something simple.
Or walk the line, since we have a little path that we're going through, a little giant theme.
What do you like better?
You could have a little music in the background.
You have to pay royalties then, though, so we don't have enough money for that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody will add their own qualifications, and that's going to be based on a lot of that. I think that's where we tie in with our introduction, where we talk about the qualifications of a good leader in healthcare for this. So make sure you throw that in there. And then the lifespan group, we need to talk about that. So I started to put a little bit, but on the PowerPoint skeleton that I made, I said I had the age range, and then I've got basically broke it down by health characteristics of that age group, and then age-specific concerns. So like on our health plan that we put together last week, you had age-specific assessment and screenings. So just saying the things that were within the middle adult age range that are significant concern. And then description of the problem, which is obesity, and is that what that is? I mean, are we just talking about description of obesity, or are we talking about everything with that? Health literacy, access to care, health policy, ethics. There's a lot in that.
Yeah.
Well,
I think you just talk about it in the context of
obesity.
Think about it in the way that the Healthy People 2020 thinks about it. It doesn't matter where you are on these scales. We know that this is a problem, and we're trying all different kinds of interventions to address it.
Right. Okay.
And do so in an ethical manner, honestly.
Absolutely. Significance. I mean, that's all one big thing. Significance of the problem, and then I guess I don't understand what the relative. Oh, it's as endorsed by DRHA. I guess I read that wrong. Gotcha.
I can do start on the description
of the problem.
Current problem description.
Okay.
Yeah, the obesity, the what we were just talking about.
All right, and I'll dig into the lifespan group. That's okay.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, um, I can even do the theory. I'll do the.
So there's part on there where it says using DRHA's resources.
Mm-hmm.
I can take a stab at that, considering I just make them up, right?
Well, yeah, we talk about getting a print shop and getting them to print things up.
Mm-hmm.
And they could make posters for the clinics within the facility, within DRI.
And then in that part, would it be where we could kind of use where we're incorporating those other departments?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like oncology would do this. That's where that would go in, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely start on that part too.
And you see where it says one of the current problems is health literacy? That was one of my annotated bib articles. I actually have two, so I can address health literacy because when people talk about health promotion and health wellness, it's the lack of health literacy where they're not making a connection between their diet, etc.
Right.
Okay, so you're gonna tap in on that description of the current problem one as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually went to a TED Talks, the Mid-Atlantic region this weekend. My nephew was on there, and there was a doctor there, and it was Dr. Fitz on the street, short for Dr. Fitzpatrick. And she would just stop people on the street and ask them what they knew about the kidneys. Do they know where the kidneys are? Do they know what the kidneys do? And then she stopped one gentleman in the store and said, what kind of shopping are you doing? And so he said he was diabetic and he was watching his sugar. Well, when he came out of the store, he asked to see what was in his bag. He had Fruit Loops, Pop Tarts.
Oh.
Yeah. So she said, I thought you were watching your sugar. And so he's like, oh, is this bad? But anyway, it had to do with health literacy and knowing that when it says a lot of sugars in there, what's a lot of sugar?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, how people just don't really put it together. They think they're healthy eaters and they figure out what healthy eating is, and it's
They're trying.
nothing they're doing.
They're really trying.
Yeah.
They just don't know. No.
Do we have some other areas that need to be assigned?
We have evaluation of each component of the intervention.
I'll work on that one because we mentioned like the lab and monitoring the weight, and they could also monitor whether or not, you know how they say, you know you're working out aerobically if you can't carry on a conversation, but you can say 1 or 2 sentences?
Right.
And then we need to figure out the costs, and then we need to figure out how to propose to sustain the intervention, which Cynthia, you started to put some good ideas in there, but I think with what I think that still could apply. Contacting church leaders and chairs of the AHA, ADA, but along with a lot of the other ideas that we've proposed today. I think that's pretty straightforward. We came up with a bunch. We've been writing them down, right?
You just watch the video.
Okay.
That's right. It's in the middle. That part's in the middle.
Yep. Right
Yeah.
in the middle. Okay. So that's there.
Yeah, and I don't mind working on the. I said I'll work on the funding part.
Okay. I'm just trying to put on from what I've
I'll
heard.
be. I have to go in tomorrow, and while I'm there, I'll page one of the IT guys and ask, just run the app by him and ask him, see if he knows anything.
Okay.
We're not associated with a university, so he would definitely be shooting from the hip.
Mm-hmm.
Not a computer science guy.
Okay. So what I've been doing here is I've been putting just people's names as the point person on these different components. But feel free to add to anybody's, I would say, to support. And what I'll do too is I've changed a little bit on the PowerPoint, and I will re-upload the newer one to a Google Drive thing.
Perfect.
Okay. Is everybody satisfied?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we did great.
Okay. Wonderful. Then we'll still be in touch. Is email still the best way? Because sometimes I text if I don't know if it's more urgent, but I think we do pretty good. Okay.
If you want to email, but yeah, if it's something that you want to talk about, I don't carry my phone at work, but I often check it.
Okay, that's good. You're a good employee.
Well, I have to carry around so many other things that I just don't even have room for my own.
I can't even keep my pants up because of the stuff.
We always tease them, like, I think I need a fanny pack. That or a tool belt. What are we?
Yeah, I've seen both on paid nurses. The guy had a tool belt, it had a little hammer thing for the, I don't know, it was strange, but.
People get pretty creative.
Yes, they do. All right, well, I think we're set then, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I think
And I messaged you that program, Camtasia. Take a look at it. It is so easy. Because once I had it loaded, I was able to do it. And I am technologically challenged. But that thing is easy. It's Campasia, where you can be in the corner and have slides and whatever you uploaded as your pictures.
What's it called again?
Camtasia. Camtasia.
Camtasia.
Yes. Easy.
If it's free, I like it.
And it's free, yes.
Okay. Camtasia free.
All right.
Okay.
Is everybody good with me stopping the broadcast?
I
Yes,
am good.
I'm good.
Okay, and I will upload this tomorrow and put it on the
Okay.
Yeah.
page or whatever.
Sounds great.
So
All right.
just did a little research, and we are well within our range for app development. We should
Excellent.
Yeah.
Strong work.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks,
Cool, guys.
everybody.
Well,
Have a great
good
week.
night.
Good luck with
Good
your
night, everyone.
with your assessment stuff.
Take care.
Yeah. Oh,
Bye.
wait. We have to wait until we're off.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No,
Okay.